Welcome back. Why do I push so much for positive masculinity? Why do I push for manhood? Why do I push for productivity? Why do I push for the skills and the principles that are necessary for an individual to achieve a level where they can provide, protect, and then teach? Why do I push so much for that? Other than the fact that I'm concerned about other men world over, there is also the dark underside of what happens when those skills that are necessary to create positive masculinity do not exist or are not cultivated. So, this discussion that we're going to have in this particular segment is one that we need to take very seriously because, in this particular instance, men are the vast majority of individuals who are affected by the subject that we're going to discuss. But before we get into it, I want you to see just a short snippet, a little video that I found online, and it sparked interest in me that we're going to discuss today. So let's look at the video. Now let's pause right here for a moment. What you've just seen is a city in California, and what they're doing is they are removing the dwellings of some of the homeless individuals along this particular strip. All of the belongings that these individuals have, everything that they have in their whole life, is on that street in that particular area. And you see them without any remorse, without any thought, destroying what's left of what an individual would call their very existence. All that they've accumulated is gone now, put in the back of a truck to take away and to discard as garbage, as refuse. And then the last part of the video I thought was very telling. Here you have individuals who are supposed to be devoted to serving the community, just standing around as this is happening. And the truth of the matter is, this happens because people do not value individuals who are homeless. Destitute individuals are not considered as human beings, actually. And in my opinion, it's a show of it. It really is. This particular video that we just saw shows the inhumane treatment of these individuals just because they're homeless. They don't have as much as the next person, and so this is the way that they're treated. For the most part, I have to say that that's very egregious. I have to say that that's an act that they perform without really thinking things through. Of course, you want the neighborhoods to look nice. Of course, you want the surroundings to be pleasurable to look at. But at the cost of an individual's home, at the cost of what an individual has left in life. So we're going to take all of that away because we want the streets to be clean. Now, I think there's a conflict of interest that exists here because you're talking about human beings. And so we have to express some kind of empathy for these individuals. We have to be able to put ourselves in their shoes and walk so that we can understand what's really going on. And because I want to understand more about what was really happening and why it was happening, I did a little research and I want to share that with you. So let's look at a particular web page and I'll give you the specifics of it when we get to it, okay? So here is the web page I was looking at, a demographic data project, gender and individual homelessness. Now this is taken as I mentioned, from the National Alliance to End Homelessness. And so this particular article goes on to talk about the individuals who are mainly affected by homelessness, and it even gives the percentages. So let's go a little bit further down into the article. This is something that they're required to do annually, and they call this a point in time count. And so they're physically counting individuals who fall into this category of homelessness. Now notice this second paragraph. It says, while the majority of individuals who experience homelessness are men, too many women also find themselves in these circumstances. As with men, ending homelessness for women will require an understanding of the unique reasons they become homeless, how homelessness affects them, and what the solutions to their problems are. So now we have the perception that both men and women are affected by homelessness, and that's easy to understand. But now, who are affected the most? Let's go down just a little bit. Under the next subheading, it mentions that 77% of all people experiencing homelessness within the 2018 point in time count are individuals. So those are not families, those are just singular persons. There are 260,284 men. Now, please take notice of these numbers, okay? Compared to 106,119 women. Thus, men are the majority of individuals experiencing homelessness, coming in at 70%, followed by women at 29%. And then there's 1% there that's for transgender and non-binary individuals. So that is a shocking number. Shocking. 70%. 70% after the point in time count was done in 2018, 70% of homeless individuals were men. Right? And then as the article goes on, you come to find out that in certain areas, that 70% is not the case. There are individuals who live in certain states and the percentage is greater. There in Puerto Rico, Louisiana, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, the 70% that we see as the average there, these particular states are coming in above average when it comes to male homelessness. Wow. And so it goes on to talk about also the states that have an above average population of homeless women. And then you can see the total count of homelessness and then how it is that it's affected in certain areas. But now here's the thing that really caught my attention. There is a designation that's called unsheltered homelessness. And of course, if men occupy 70% of the individuals who are homeless, then of course they would occupy the greater number of individuals who were unsheltered and homeless. But now the thing about it that really stuck out to me is that it mentions that 49% of individual men are unsheltered compared to 45% of women. So that's to be expected because there are more men on average that are homeless than women. But now here's something that really got my attention. If you scroll down, there are, let me see if I can find it. There is a discussion of what happens as a result of being homeless. One of the things that causes homelessness too that the article jumped on that I thought was very telling is that most of the individuals who become homeless come directly from prisons or jails. And so it goes back to how it is that the system as a whole is not geared toward the support of individuals who may be in a disadvantaged circumstance. And so most of the individuals who, because look at the article, it said roughly 48,000 people entering shelters every year are coming nearly directly from prisons or jails. Wow, that's a telling subject. And then one of the things that I noticed too is that in regards to the issue of homelessness contributes to the mortality rate when it comes to men also. It does for women, but at the same time, an individual is more likely to fall into bad health and pass away because of being homeless. And so this was a very telling article, as I mentioned. And then there are some questions that the article says that possibly individuals could ask themselves in regards to the process that they use to dealing with homeless people. And those questions are very soul searching, especially the last one I looked at. It says, once disparities are identified, are we moving beyond the data to get information directly from consumers as to their needs? So are we going out and talking to individuals that are homeless? Are we engaging them to see what it is that they might need? Maybe what was the reason why they found themselves in this particular position, and what can be done to remedy the situation? Because if individuals are losing their lives because of being unsheltered and homeless, then this is absolutely a subject that we need to look at. We need to address this. But then again, could it be that this is a situation that doesn't get as much attention as it needs to because the majority of individuals who find themselves homeless are men? That's something to think about. So really, this is an issue that bears down on the men in our community. It really does. When an individual is unable to fulfill their role in society per se, they're unable to protect and provide and teach, or there is something about their personalities that does not fit in with society, then a lot of times individuals find themselves unable to provide for themselves, and so their only recourse is to go into the street. They become homeless. So really, this is an issue that has to be tackled, because it's clear that the majority that homelessness visits itself on are males of the species. The percentage is 70% for males and 29% for women. This is an epidemic. And you don't hear much about these particular issues. You don't hear much about these particular difficulties in the mainstream, because these issues are, for all intended purposes, unimportant. Now, there are so many equality movements that exist in the world today. There are so many individuals that are fighting for certain rights. They're fighting for certain things that should be done, but there's no one that you hear that's putting up a struggle to change and turn this around. Could it be that this is a reflection of how men are seen in society? We're only as useful as what we can produce. And if we can't produce anything, then we're not useful. Is this a reflection of that? I'll let you answer that particular question. But I will say this. Do you think that the situation would be different if the tables were turned? Do you think that there would be more of an impetus to change this if it was 70% of women that were faced with homelessness? I'll let you answer that also. So what we're discussing is this a topic that needs to get more discussion? Is it something that needs to be focused on? As men, we have to, because we have brothers out there that are having difficulties that we need to help them to address. That's part of provision, protection, and teaching. Those have been my thoughts. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Be easy.